So you dispatch the rabbit, and now you hang it in the gambrel, or however you want to hang it. On a gambrel, I slide the back feet in, I pull down on the rod, and it locks it into place. It won't fall out when you do that. So you want to go ahead and cut the throat, let the animal bleed, and then when the bleeding is done, you want to cut the head off. If you do cervical dispatch, a lot of times the vertebrae will be separated and you can easily just slice through. This one, the vertebrae didn't go as much. So now you want to take the front feet off. Take it and bend it 90 degrees at the joint. I got my arm in the way, so it's a little hard to see. But you want to bend it 90 degrees. You'll feel it and sometimes hear it pop right there. You can see how it's come across. Take the knife and cut right through the joint where you separated it. You'll have a nice clean separation, so no sharp edges on the end of the leg bones. After you do the front feet, now you want to cut into the hide. What you don't want to do is jam straight in there like this. You want to make a hole just big enough to get your finger in. An easier way is here, make a pinch and slide across in front of the meat and make a slit. Then you can get a hold of it with your finger, put your finger into the hole and pull. Then you can, that'll make it easier to get to. Grab a hold of the hide, run your thumb and forefinger under the skin and separate it from the back of the leg. You may need to use a knife to cut that, or you can do like I did and break it. Here, because I stuck the knife straight in, I'm pointing at where the knife has gone into the muscle just enough to break the membrane around it. That requires you to then cut a little bit to cause some separation between the skin and the muscle underneath. Not a big deal, still a good process. Once you get it separated, do like you did before. Put your fingers underneath and separate it. Then you want to pull it down. Put your fingers, when you get that done, put your fingers underneath the skin, reach around. You want to create a gap between the hide and the carcass. Take your knife and cut away from the meat and cut that. What I now do is take the back and I grab it the same way. You may have to pull it so that they get down towards the tail, but I leave the tail on to be able to grab it as a handle later. Okay, I just leave that there and I take the knife after I got my fingers underneath, separating the hide from the meat, and I make a cut. The tail is still there, so you can use it for a handle. Now just pull down and it will all just slide right off. So now you've got the carcass hanging. Now you got to take out the genitals and the orifice or the anus. Cut around it very gently. You just want to cut the tissues. Grab a hold of the fur and the tail and pull items out of the way. You can see a little white line in there when you're looking, and that's where you want to cut down at the inside of the pelvis. And you're going to make a circle around it, around where the genitals and the anus come out. I like a small, sharp knife for this, not a really big, complicated, heavy one. Because you don't want to cut deep, you just want to cut that tissue that's retaining it. Cut around. You can cut between the tail and the anus. Now is a good time to take your big knife or your shears and trim off the tail because it's still attached. And that's still going to let you have a handle to pull everything out. Or pull part of it out. Don't be afraid to cut a little bit more. It takes practice. You pull, and out comes the rectum, the genitals, and a little bit of the large intestines. Makes it easy and clean to deal with later. Now you can open the chest cavity. Grab a pinch. Do not jab in, because you do not want to cut those organs. You can either go sideways, or you can just go in a smidgen to make a tiny hole. So your finger just fits. Then put your finger in there to guide the knife, keeping the organs away from the blade. It's actually easier than it looks. Now I put 2 fingers in, separated everything, and I just slide up and I slide down. See how my fingers are pushing the tissue away from it, from the knife blade. Pull it apart, and your entrails sit there. Next thing you want to do is take the bladder out. That's what the big yellow thing is. Pinch it off at the top so it doesn't spray everywhere. Doesn't ruin the meat, just makes a mess. Grab a hold and pull. Grab the rest of the entrails and pull. It can be hard to pull, just yank on it. Now I'm pulling out the liver. I'm going to pull it up and out. If you're going to keep the liver, take the gallbladder off. It's the little green thing you see on there. Pinch the end of it and pull it off. If you bust it, things just taste really bitter. You can see a kidney hanging in the carcass. You're going to pull those out. Unless you're like me and you would like to leave them in. That's the entrails below the chest cavity. So now we're opening up the diaphragm. You can just see the lungs in there. Just reach down, grab the heart and the lungs, and pull. They will come out. That's all there is to it. The next step is take off the hind feet, rinse, and then go to the next step. You can soak it in ice water. You can bag it, chill it, but rinse it off, and then do whatever you're going to do with it. So there goes one foot, bending it sideways. Take your knife and cut right through the joint. If you have a little fur left, it just pulls off at the end.